Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris Martinez here, host of Operation Agency Freedom. And I am very, very excited to see you again. If you're looking at me and you're wondering, why is this guy wearing this really, really funny dad hat? It is literally my dad's hat. I found it. I love this hat. I'm very excited to talk to you guys today because I am going to bring you the man, the myth, the legend, Shaun from Go High Level. So if you guys have not heard about Go High Level or High Level, everybody calls it two different things. GoHighLevel.com. It is absolutely groundbreaking. And Shaun is the founder. I've known about Go High Level for at least 2 years. Hopefully you've heard about them. If you haven't, this is your lucky day. This software is absolutely revolutionizing the agency space. And if I were to describe it, I would say it's kind of like a hybrid of HubSpot, but with Infusionsoft and at like a super cheap price. Like, it's awesome. I did use it in all transparency. I did use it for a little while, about 1.5 years ago. So I got to experience it myself. We didn't stick with it because we're so in with Zoho. And we have a lot of other departments. We're a little bit bigger than most agencies. So it just didn't really work for us. But I send so many of my clients over to Go High Level because it's exactly what they need. And it's at a price point that anybody can afford. And their business model is really interesting. So they basically say, you give us, I think it's like $2.99 a month. And then you can put as many clients as you want on the platform. And it's like totally white label. So you can have each of your clients has their own dashboard so they can see all the analytics, all the conversion, everything. It's a really, really cool software. So I'm stoked to have Shaun on the call to learn more about him. I don't have a lot of software people on Operation Agency Freedom, and mainly it's agency folks, agency coaches. The reason why I wanted to have Shaun on is, one, their growth is just absolutely insane. They have over 10,000 users now. The other reason is that their target is agency owners, and they didn't originally set out to work with agencies. They do have some, straight SMB clients, but they kind of recognized early on that agencies were going to be their best way to reach that critical mass and grow their software. So I'm stoked to have Shaun on the show. He's going to talk about how they've been able to grow so fast. He's going to talk about what the software does. And what I find most interesting is kind of like their end goal. So most software companies, they get funding and they want to have, millions of users, and then they want to get the big exit. Shaun doesn't really actually want that objective. And I actually confront him about it because their business model from a valuation standpoint, it's horrible, but that's not their objective. They're not trying to get bought out by private equity or, gobbled up by Salesforce or something like that. So it was just really interesting to hear that from him, and kind of refreshing because it was somebody who's in it for the long term, which made me feel really good too. And actually now, if you haven't heard, we are also supporting Go High Level as part of our Dude Basic Unlimited package. We'll probably add it in later as an upsell, but for now it's just included in the $24.97. So if you are interested to learn from the man that started Go High Level and just hear a completely different perspective in terms of how a software company is looking to help agency owners and SMBs, definitely tune into this episode. You will really, really enjoy it. And of course, go to the website if you're listening to this on the podcast or on the YouTubes, because on the website, you'll get all the show notes and any links that we mention on the show. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I would love for you to subscribe to this podcast, and as kind of like guilting you into doing it. I'm getting married in 3 weeks. So it would be a great wedding present to me if you subscribe to the show, both on iTunes and also on the YouTubes. So with that being said, we'll head over and you can listen to this awesome episode. All right, Shaun, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man. Great to be here.
And I feel like I'm in the midst of a celebrity because amongst the agency space, you are a big deal.
Wow. Okay. Well, that is news to me, but that's super exciting to hear. We want to be a big deal inside the agency space. That's for sure.
Well, go high level is, I want to say it came out of nowhere, but I know that the story is really not that. But I mean, it's just over the past 2 years, I would say every agency owner has at least heard of Go High Level.
I hope not everybody. We still have some more people to reach.
That's true. Yeah. Well, you still have more clients. You still have more.
But it's true. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
you guys have just been going crazy on the scene with the agencies, which is awesome. So hats off to your marketing team. But
which is our agency customers, by the way, for the record. Right. That's our marketing team, our customers.
Oh, perfect. So what I want to talk about on this episode, and what I talk about on all the episodes, because this is not your first go around. Like, you've started multiple companies before.
True.
Not sure if you've had the exits or whatever, but
I did have one exit. I did sell my last company, although it wasn't the exit. So
right. So I was literally listening to a podcast this morning. It was from the guy who started Casper Mattresses, the online mattress store, and he actually also had an agency at one point in time. But his first company was ultimately, I believe it was like a drop shipping company, and he had the exit. But he's like, I didn't walk away with any.
Yeah, right. You don't get to retire off some of those. Yeah, that's the thing. I think people are always thinking like exits mean like that's it, you're done. You like go buy a beach house. Sadly, that's not always the case.
Well, okay. So, from the outsider's perspective, and I've never owned a software company before, but the perception is that you go out and you get some rounds of funding, and then they fund your company.
Yeah, that's right.
And you're living on easy street, and everything's,
I've heard that too.
Pretty easy. And then you sell the company for hundreds of millions of dollars, and then you go retire to an island.
Thank goodness.
And the other thing is that they don't care about profitability at the beginning, which I've always had a big problem with personally. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, there's a lot of other business owners who might not be as savvy, but they're like, I'll worry about the profitability on the back end.
Sure.
And you mentioned to me that, obviously, that's nonsense to some extent.
No, it is.
So I want you to let's just jump right into.
Let me break it down.
As a 4-letter word.
Yeah. So let me break it down for you here. So even on that whole, so in the world of software, it's bootstrapped, which means we're not taking funding. So like high level is bootstrapped. We haven't taken any funding. And neither did I didn't do that in my last company. And then there's the funding route. Now, hate to break this to you. So let's go back to my last SaaS company. It was in the invoicing space. And I was the only employee. I was a single solo entrepreneur. And I was pretty proud of myself. I got to about 1,000 small business customers, and I was rocking and rolling. And, running a software company is I would say, brutal. It is a very hard business, believe it or not, mostly because there's a ton of customer support. You can build some amazing stuff, but at some point you got to teach somebody else how to use it. And so that's really where the rubber hits the road. Right. But so at one point I started getting a bunch of calls from VC companies in my last business. And, I was like, gosh, maybe I should think about this whole funding thing. So I started taking some calls, and I got really excited about it. And then unfortunately I learned some really bad news, which is, turns out that if you're not doing $1 million, you don't have $1 million run rate. So what that just basically means is take $1 million divided by 12, right? $1 million run rate. They're not interested in talking to you. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't at $1 million run rate. And so even in that moment where I was like, oh, well, maybe I should explore this option, that option wasn't open to me. And so ultimately, if anybody out there wants to think software is an easy place to start, and you just go get funding like on the back of a napkin, that just doesn't happen. Just not a thing. I tried. Trust me. I had a good business too. I mean, I was profitable. I was making money, and I was really, I had 1,000 small business customers. I was rocking and rolling, and I still got the no thanks, give us a call back when you get bigger. So just a heads up, it's never as easy as it looks.
Right. And you had mentioned to me that you have kind of like a mantra that dead is a 4-letter word.
Yeah, right. Dead is a 4-letter word. So yeah.
Explain to us what that means.
Yeah, sure. It's just the idea that, 4-letter words tend to be bad things, right? And so dead is a 4-letter word to me. It's just try to build businesses that are profitable at the outset and scale them up. And, I would say some of the best software businesses started as consulting businesses at some level. I'm a software engineer, so I start in code because that's just who I am. But a lot of people, especially non-technical founders, they start off kind of doing the thing that the software ends up doing automatically, but they do it manually. And I think it teaches you, what are the needs of the customer? How does this really work? Can I get paid enough to actually do this? That kind of thing. And those lessons are incredibly important, because I would say that the number of venture-backed companies in general, even if you want to be that, is very small. It's an incredibly difficult thing to pull off, believe it or not.
Gotcha. So for those of the few people that haven't heard, give us the elevator pitch for Go High Level.
Oh yeah, sure. So High Level is the all-in-one agency platform. So it's super simple. If you are out there today and you have a funnel builder and a website builder and a CRM and a texting platform, an email marketing platform, and all this other stuff, and you're gluing them all together with Zapier, imagine that we have all those same components pre-done, and we put them all in one place. In fact, hold on, let's show this off, right?
Yeah.
So on the screen here, welcome to High Level. So the cool part about High Level, we can actually jump into a client account. It's white labeled. We only sell to marketing agencies. And the idea here is really simple. We want to replace all of the products you're currently using in your agency today, as well as give you the opportunity to resell the platform to your clients under your own brand name, so you don't have to keep sending them out of house to other products that you end up losing them to often when they decide to cancel services. So for us, it's a really great way for agencies to not only save money on their own stuff, but also make a lot of money by creating another product they can sell to their clients. And it's got 1,000,000,001 features, of course. Workflow Builder is really super cool, where you can build these sort of visual customer journeys, and but none of this stuff should be new to anybody. It's really all the same stuff you've seen. It's just all nicely put into one package and seamless. What's really cool though is we're all about lead to customer. So if you're out there generating leads for customers and you realize, if you've ever been through the experience of it's like, hey, I ran some ads and I got some leads and I put them on a spreadsheet, and then I get my client and then they had a big frowny face for some reason, and then they fired me. You learn the lesson of, wait a second, I said, do you want more leads? But really what my customer heard in their brain was, do I want more customers? Mm-hmm. And it turns out that that's actually what they all want. And the way to get a lead to become a customer is you got to actually follow up and nurture them, is what we call it. Yeah. And High Level actually automates the whole process of lead nurturing, so that you can actually come in here and from one screen, essentially, when a lead comes in, you can automatically reach out to that lead and follow up with them until they actually respond. And then we have machine learning and AI that actually helps them book in to an appointment. And really at the end of the day, allows you as an agency to convert all those leads into customers almost automatically for your clients, which is exactly what they want. So we drive your retention way up. So it's all kinds of good stuff all over the place. And again, it's not our brand on the hood, it's yours. And this is the big differentiator in our book, which is, your login page, your landing page, your white label mobile app, not our mobile app. So now as an agency, you can go out and present yourself to the world, not only as a services organization, but also as a technology organization, and providing kind of that whole gamut of solutions for your clients.
Awesome. So I'm sure you've heard the analogy, don't dig the mine, or don't mine the gold, sell the shovels. It looks like you've really built an amazing shovel for the agency owners to essentially run their whole business. That
was the idea. Yeah. So, we early on were selling to small businesses, and, what we realized very quickly is that behind every great small business is actually a marketing agency.
Yeah.
And it's really like the superpower that they're never going to tell you about, because then it doesn't make them look very cool, right? Like, I grew to 10 stores this year on my own, they'll say. But really, in reality, it was because they had an amazing agency. And so once we figured that out, we realized, okay, wait, let's stop trying to sell to the plumber. Let's start selling to the plumber's agency, because the plumber's agency is the one actually doing all this work. And we can give them this really cohesive platform that replaces all the things they're currently already using. Then we have this wonderful opportunity to not only help the small business, which is what we wanted to do in the beginning, but also promote these amazing people who honestly don't get enough credit as it is. And today, oftentimes are turning to tools that see them more or less as, sales channels is kind of how they're termed in the industry, which just means people to go get customers from, but they're not really considered customers, like second class citizens or something. And so ultimately, we really are on a mission to change that.
Yeah. So let's shift gears a little bit here. I want to talk about your role, and specifically what is helping you to be successful with Go High Level. Because how many clients do you guys have right now?
Yeah, so we're at 10,000 agencies. and 280,000 businesses.
So basically each one has 28 clients.
Yeah, 10,000, actually, sorry, 10,398 as of right this minute.
Fantastic. That's amazing, by the way. Huge congratulations on that. Now, your background is as a software engineer. You ran, I mean, you're a very technical person by trade.
Yes, true.
Now that you run this massive organization that has over 10,000 clients, how many staff do you have right now? How many?
150 team members.
You have 150 team members.
Yep.
That is massively different from running a solo engineering company.
Massively.
Right?
Yes.
What are some of the things that you personally have had to develop skill-wise to run this company effectively?
Yeah. So I think the first thing I did is I have two other co-founders who are phenomenal at what they do and way better than me at that. So that was step number one.
What are their focuses?
So one of my co-founders is the CTO, and he runs the whole dev team. Wow. He's the best engineer I've ever met, way better than I am. And then the other guy actually was an agency owner, but he's really good in operations and honestly, he just has way better people skills, basically everything I don't have. And so really having those two people was critical. We wouldn't be here without them. And then from there, it's just about continuing that progression down the chart. So, finding great people is very tough. And when you do, you got to hold on to them tight.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, it's a lot of like 2-pointers. It's like, okay, do we have the right person in the right seat on the bus? If not, what do we do? Can we find another seat where they're going to be better suited, or do we need to get rid of them, ask them to get off the bus because they're dragging the whole organization down? So it's a lot of that. And without those really good people, and then just organizing it all together, bringing people together, really utilizing each other's creativity to think of new ideas, that kind of thing really is key to growing a big organization.
What do you think are your strongest traits as a leader?
I'm very excitable. So I'm really pumped up about our mission, and I'm really excited about how big this company can get. And more importantly, when I think big, I don't think money-wise, I think really impact-wise. So, I've always been in small business my whole life. I believe in small business. I believe in the power of software to change small businesses for the better. And ultimately, I think that if you can eliminate the barrier between those businesses and the technology, I think that magic can happen. And I realize that today, that equation is all wrong. Today, it is all being done through massive amounts of venture capital that basically resolves into a salesperson beating on your phone if you're a small business owner, getting you to buy something, and then just running away, essentially, and leaving you in the lurch. Well, even if that's the best software tool ever, you just don't have the time or expertise to really make it hum. And that is where an agency really shines. And agencies today actually play this role, but they're really not respected for it, and they're not rewarded for it. And I think what we figured out is how to change the game such that they are rewarded for their efforts now, not just on the service revenue that they were getting, but now becoming technology players and deriving revenue off the software directly, and also retaining their clients. Because a lot of times these other platforms, their goal is to get you to go out and hawk their product so that later on, if you lose your customer, they don't lose the customer, right? Because now you've trained them, you've got them on the system, you've got them up and running, and then they're like, oh, you know what? That $3,000 a month retainer is too expensive. We're going to go ahead and pause that. But the $300 a month software bill, no, that's fine. We'll keep it. And that sucks if you're the agency owner, because now you're out and the software vendor's in.
Yeah. What is your average monthly churn?
It depends. There's revenue churn and there's customer churn. And then from there, we segment it into 2 buckets. So it's really what we call the valley of death. So the first 2 months is really the valley of death. So before the valley of death, there we go. The valley of death up front is really, really gnarly, primarily because of how we operate. And we're also different. So we don't acquire customers through ads. We don't acquire customers through SEO or content blogging. I mean, that slowly evolves and changes over time, but most of our customers come from our customers. And some of our customers are most of them are just agencies who we have an affiliate program. They're able to refer people out to us. It's great. Right. But some are coaches, and and some are and I would say they're amazing coaches, but even the best coaches can't make everybody win. So, a lot of people coming in ultimately have struggle, and they're not struggling because High Level is a bad platform. They're struggling because they're just building a business, getting started. Maybe it's on the side, whatever. So the churn there is really bad. But when
on that specific client profile, or in those first 60 days?
It's mostly just that. It's both. It's that specific profile in the first 60 days.
Right. Okay.
And today we don't have like a first class economy setup, so everybody gets treated the same. Mm-hmm. So what that does for us, of course, is it pushes churn a little higher up in the other persona, like in the more established agency persona than it should. But we're also product people. We're very into software, so we're learning. And this is one of our big spots where we're actually improving this year. So we're hiring 6 more people right now to add to the customer success team, because what we've realized is at this point, there's not a single business on the planet that can't benefit from the platform. Right. It's just a matter of making sure when you walk in the door, we get you on the phone with somebody and help you get going. Because even agency owners need help, is what we've realized.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
So that's kind of our churn situation.
You know, what we've done is we know exactly who will work well with us. And so we just say no. We do have a lower tier offering, which is like a one-off service. But if they're under 150K a year annually as an agency, it's just not going to work. It ends up slowing down everything else, because we put the same amount of, kind of like you guys, put the same amount of resources, the same amount of time into these folks. They just they haven't progressed past that stage.
Yeah.
And we just know that, the chances of them becoming a great long-term customer, like the other ones that we know that we can serve, it just doesn't work. So that's really great that also that you guys brought on those new team members to help. It kind of reminds me of Infusionsoft, because they kind of had that same epiphany, I believe, when they were getting started too.
I would say their big difference is I think they charged like $3,000 to get set up.
Yeah, it was not cheap. I used it.
Yeah, we don't charge anything. I would say if we charged that, we would have way lower churn for sure. Yeah. I think for us, what always is hard for me is I've been there. Like I've been at the starting block many times, and I know what it feels like to have no money and to just be getting going. And so the nice thing about the vision I have for our product is, we have a $97 a month option. And now with the ability to resell the platform, it's also to the point where it's like, if you go out and sell high level to one plumber for $300 a month, like that's it. You just won. Like, yeah, it's only $200 a month, but guess what? That's $200 a month. And now you can take it and get to the second plumber and the third and the fourth. And so the bar for success, at least for our product, is lower. So my hope is that we can continue to help people get across that line and continue to teach them and train them and help them get to where they need to get going. And even if they start as a side hustle and it's just kind of like a part-time thing, they can be successful with us. So lucky for us, unlike an Infusionsoft, I think they were probably right to do that. I'm hopeful that we never have to go that way.
Yeah, I love your software. I think it's a great price point. It definitely opens the door for a lot of agencies who are working specifically with SMBs that don't have big budgets.
Yeah.
And it's definitely an area that the nurture sequence is definitely an area that they all struggle with. I'm friends with Rob Bailey, who I'm sure you know.
Oh yeah.
And Rob, he started his agency. Well, he had the multi 7-figure fancy pants agency that was completely broke,
right?
Closed. And then he's like, screw this. I'm just going to do lead nurturing, and specifically, I think in the fitness niche. And he landed 9 round. And I think he had some.
Yeah, he crushed it. I mean, that was a great gig.
And he grew that business so quickly. And it was just a perfect time, perfect product built on top of your software, so it was just a really, really great fit for them. So I 100% believe in Go High Level. In terms of where do you see this company in the next, let's just say in 2 years, what is Go High Level going to look like?
Yeah. So, I mean, I sort of think about it as like operation 100 million in revenue. What do we need to do to get to 100 million in revenue? And the way I think about that means that we're going to bring in $1 billion in revenue for the agencies that we serve, right? So, and the way we always think about this is first, we say, sell them what they want, give them what they need. So the problem is, if in a perfect world, I would say to every agency, listen, the future is software. We're going to make you into a software agency. You're going to be able to have this great, awesome, sticky, recurring SaaS revenue. But that most people, it's like deer in the headlights when you say that kind of stuff. And so that they were like, what are you smoking, man?
I just want to sell a website.
Yeah, I do websites. What? And so we're like, oh, that's cool. So what we realized we got to do is be like, okay, great. Let's go after these pockets. So like this quarter we're launching WordPress hosting because we're going to go after the SEO crowd, right? Hey, or the website crowd. And then in Q4, we're going to launch e-com. So we're going to do a big Shopify integration and kind of go after the people who are in the e-com space, right? And so first, the idea is you sort of mop up all of the different categories. And then we'll like do social media posting in Q4 because there's some social media posting agencies, right? So that way we're like, okay, we own the board here with every last type of agency. And then from there, it's all right, now that all of you are kind of in the platform doing your day-to-day, we're saving you money, you're doing the things you're already doing, right? We're helping you, maybe we're giving you things you weren't doing before, like, helping with billing, or you're just adding on services because you can, things like that. And then we grow everybody into the SaaS agencies, because the success there, quite frankly, is phenomenal. I mean, two people this year will do 3 million in just software revenue, and lots of people will be below that at really good, nice, incremental, exciting, for them, revenue levels. 100 grand in extra revenue for a single owner operator agency is a lot of money, especially when it's all driven by software. They don't have to hire anybody to do it. Right. 90% profit margin, but that's kind of how we're going to get there. And, in my opinion, this model then goes out and scales to every small business in the world, because now agencies are leading the charge. And, who better to do this? Who better to serve these people? As an agency, I think the biggest problem in all reality today for agencies is they get on the phone or they walk in and talk, and at some point they get into the pitch, and it works like this. They all sell the same thing because everyone wants the same thing, right? Higher rankings on Google and more 5-star reviews and free leads coming in off the website every day, whatever. But it comes to that point, it's like, okay, great, now what's the price? And every agency has to say, well, it's 1,500 or 3,000 or whatever the number is. But all of those numbers are big and scary for most SMBs, right? And so I think where the software companies are crushing it is they say the same thing. They say, hey, do you want the 5-star reviews and all of that? And then they say, how about for $300 a month, or $400 a month, or $500 a month even? And all of that sounds like a utility bill, right? Doesn't that sound like the power bill, the internet bill, or the cell phone bill? And business owners are like, great, let's do it. And bam, the agency just gets iced right there, even though that's wrong, even though that's not fair. But I think that psychology of the price point is so big. And so what I think we're going to do is we're going to give every agency the ability to compete with those same software players and provide us all in one cohesive platform. So that to me is really where we go in the next 2 years.
Awesome. All right. Final question. This is pun intended. High level, a kind of a higher level question.
Yeah.
My understanding is that one of the hugest benefits of Go High Level is that you don't charge per seat, meaning that the agency pays you a flat rate, $300, I think, and they can put as many clients on that plan as they want. Absolutely. Unlimited, right?
Yep.
From a valuation standpoint, has anybody ever talked to you, or have you ever had a discussion about how that model might actually hurt you from a valuation standpoint if you ever wanted to sell the company?
Oh, absolutely. It's terrible from a valuation perspective. Yeah.
So does that mean that your goal is never to sell Go High Level?
Yeah. No. That's not why we got into this business. Here's the simple truth of the matter. We're profitable, right? And what's ironic about all of this is almost all the other platforms that we compete with, not profitable. That's why they take venture capital, because they're not profitable. And so despite the fact that they have all these crazy levers and different pricing mechanisms and all this other crazy stuff, in reality, they still don't make money. And so, would I love to charge more? Absolutely. But, we're doing great. We're doing fine. And if we can then continue to do fine and continue to help agencies and really share, what we're really doing is we're just sharing that money that we could otherwise try to be greedy about. And I think would have limited our growth in a significant way. We're trying to not do that. We're trying to say, for that extra revenue we could have gotten from this customer or that customer, we're going to give that back to the agencies so that they can win, because we feel like if they can win, we can win. And there's enough money on the table for everybody to be happy.
Yeah, I love it, man. Thank you very much for answering. I know that that's kind of a personal question.
That was a great question.
But it's something that I've been thinking about ever since I heard about Go High Level. A really good friend of mine, CFO of a publicly traded company. And anytime I have valuation questions, I just reach out to him.
I love that you even know how that works, because most people have no clue. So I love that you're cognizant of it. Yeah.
Well, I think it also adds to your story, right? Because most people are only doing it for the exit.
Absolutely.
And what it does is it means that you're not just in it for the money, which, to me, that's not an inspiring story to hear about some rich kid who just came out of Stanford and, daddy hooked him up with a meeting at a venture capital firm and then they sell a company. That's kind of like, that's the rhetoric that you hear about software companies. So it is really cool that you're kind of rooting for the underdog, kind of like we are.
I've always been the underdog. So there's not, that's all there is to it. I don't have a rich father and I didn't get to go to Stanford, sadly. So, as a result, you gotta play the cards that you're dealt. But, I think that living in a meritocracy is the better way to go, but also living in a world where people are willing to share with others, even when they don't have to, is the most important thing. Because I think that, there is a way for all of us to be successful and to be able to do the things we want to do and to all win together. And I just don't understand, why past a certain point, they've already shown more money doesn't create more happiness. So all of the people who are at or above that level are already at their limit of happiness anyways. And so I really just don't see the justice or need for it. So, why play the game?
I love it, man. All right. So we're about out of time. I don't know if there's any lead magnets you want to give, or you can, say any ways that people can get.
Hopefully people go to gohighlevel.com and check us out and, join us on the journey.
Yeah, I love it. And for those that are listening, I highly recommend that you check it out. We've used it in the past. Personally, right now, I don't use it in my company just because we have a lot of different departments, things that Go High Level has not gotten into yet.
Yes,
but you never know. Maybe we'll come in.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So, for example, like our ticketing system, it's built on Freshdesk.
Me too. Ours too. See, we're not a ticketing system. Exactly.
So, but if you're an agency who's looking for a solid way to help generate and nurture leads for SMBs, in my opinion, it's one of the best softwares out there. So definitely give them a shout. I have lots of friends that have used it or are using it right now, and they all speak very, very highly of it. I did use it for a little while. My friend Robert, he let me use his account to kind of test it out.
Well, good. Well, hopefully we'll get you back in there someday.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much. Shaun, what's the best way for people to get in contact with you if they want to reach out to you?
Just look me up on Facebook or Shaun at gohighlevel.com. However you want to do it. I'm always available.
Awesome. You are the man. Thanks so much, man.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean so much to me if you could share it with your friends, family, and basically anyone who will find the same value in this episode that you did. And to get the latest from me, then let's definitely connect on social media. You can go to Facebook, facebook.com/Dude Agency, or Instagram at dudeagency.io, or you can check us out on YouTube on our YouTube channel. And then, of course, you can always visit our website at dudeagency.io, where you can see all of our other episodes of Operation Agency Freedom. You can also register for any live trainings that we have going on how to run a highly profitable agency. And, of course, you can see how we help digital agencies with the people, the processes, and the education so that they can take on more projects and scale profitably. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.